This is the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card, one of the most iconic cards in the entire hobby. And back in January of 2021, yes, at the height of the pandemic boom, this card sold for $738,000. Now, here's the question. Is that card actually worth $738,000 or not? And if you want to know the real answer to how much this card is actually worth, then stay with me. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Doc and I am your host in this video where we go through the real value of the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan card. Now I have notes because I want to make sure that I get everything correct. If you didn't see yesterday's video, I talked about how you actually find out the real value of cards. That's why I'm deep diving on this card specifically, because there's a lot of misunderstanding as to what cards are really worth. Again, there's a misperception, which I talked about yesterday, of what cards are worth as opposed to what people might pay for them. Again, I might overpay for a card because I want it in my PC, and depending on how rare it is, I may have to make a split-second decision to go, I'm going to buy it now. I don't care that I'm overpaying. So that goes into this, and we're going to get to that in a second. So what is this 1986 Fleer Jordan actually worth? And in order to do that, we got to go back into history and look at some of the previous sales before the pandemic boom to actually know where the floor was before the hype machine took over the hobby. So let's go back to September of 2004 when there was a sale on Heritage Auctions for this card for $6,000 and $6,871. Let me make that clear. $6,871. That's it. So you could go back in time, and again, a lot of people are doing this. They're trying to look at modern day values and go, well, if I went back in time and bought it then, look at how much money I make. And then unfortunately, they're saying, well, that's going to happen again in the future. That's the problem. If for all of you investors who keep doing that, that's actually the wrong way of thinking. And you should know that if you're a really great investor. Any single prospectus from a stock or bond or any type of investment opportunity, there's a line in every single prospectus that says you cannot use past performance to determine future value. You cannot use past performance to determine future value. So the card was worth $6,000 in 2004. So what is it worth in 2025? But you can't go, well, it's worth that in 2025. Therefore, in 20 years, it'll be worth X. It's not how that works. So, all right, let's go to 2015. This card jumped to $14,129. In 2016, this jumped to $23,900. Do you see? Like, it's starting to creep up, and this is before the pandemic. I want to make that clear. This is before the pandemic. So let's look at the graphic, okay? So let's see all of the sales. So in 2017, it was $16,000. In 2018, it was $14,000. In December of 2019, this card sold for $36,000 on Heritage Auctions. So what is it worth now? Now, I've already gone over at the beginning of the video, you know that this card sold in 2021 for $738,000. That was the height of the bubble. Okay, so the pandemic blew this card out of the water, and someone said, I'm going to spend $750,000 on this card. And I don't know if you guys know, but famously, Jeff Wilson bought one of his multiple PSA rookies for $522,000. That was in April of 2021. Now, he has multiple of them. That one has lost all of its value because he overpaid. And that's what's happening to all of you. You're overpaying for these cards. You believe, again, you have a misperception of value. Therefore, you're putting a lot of money into these cards and then getting upset when things start coming back down. And you're like, but I lost money. No, you overpaid. You should never have bought the card for that amount. Like, you should never have bought the card for that amount. So it's not coming down in value. It was never worth that to begin with. Hopefully the psychology is starting to make sense. The card is not worth that. That's the reason why the prices are coming down. You're the one that overpaid. So how do I know what's going on? Like, so I looked at SCI, so I looked at Jeff Wilson's cards. Again, I'm working on a new video to show you all the cards that he bought, what they were worth back then and what they're worth right now. Again, he overpaid for 90% of the cards that he bought. All of his collection, he believes they're worth X amount. Like, he thinks his collection is worth like $4 million. It's not worth $4 million. It's probably closer to $2 million. That's still not anything to sneeze at. Like, he's got a $2 million collection. Well, so that's pretty good, but he spent $4 million on it. You guys don't have that kind of money. Like, Jeff Wilson is made of money. He's got millions of dollars to waste. So let him do whatever he wants to do with his money, but you don't have dollars to waste. So how do we know what this card is actually worth? So let's go to 2025 sales, okay? So here you go. In January of 2025, this card sold for $177,000. In March, it sold for $192,000. In April, it sold for $168,000. Then in July, it sold for $198,000. And in September, this card sold for $231,000. So you're looking at these numbers, all right? So you're seeing it goes from 177 to 231, and you're thinking, well, it's going up in value. It's now worth more than $200,000. Hold on. You can't do that. See, this is where people are getting themselves into trouble. You're trying to use recent sales as a comp, which you can't do. You can't just go to the last sale and go, well, it's worth that. No, the last sale just means what someone was willing to pay for it. And this is where people get this wrong, because they're like, well, the card's worth what someone will pay for it. No. The card is worth what it's worth. What someone will pay for it is a whole different conversation. Like, what you might pay for a card may not be what it's worth. That could be up or that could be down. The card could be worth, let's say the card, just for argument's sake, let's say the card's worth $150,000. You may not be willing to pay $150,000, even though it's worth $150, because you're just like, well, I'm not going to spend $150,000 on a sports card. Like, do you see the mentality here? Like, just because someone pays something for a card doesn't mean that's what it's worth. Again, someone paid $738,000 for this same card. Is it worth $738,000? No. But that doesn't mean that someone didn't pay for it. Someone overpaid, which is what's happening to a lot of you. So what do I believe this card is worth based on all of the sales, based on all of the things that are going on? So let's go to the pop count first. How many PSA 10s are there to begin with? Because that you need to know in order to know, well, what kind of rarity is this? And according to PSA, there are 330 86 Jordans in a PSA 10. That's it, 330. Now, that's not one, which again, in yesterday's video, I showed you that the 9.5 SGC Mickey Mantle 52 sold for $12.6 million because there's one in the entire world. This isn't one, this is 330, which for some of you modern people should realize, well, that's more than some of the numbered cards, because a lot of the numbered are to 199 or to 299. Well, there's 330 of these. So that's more than the numbered cards. So it's not really rare. It's not really rare. Again, not really rare. Like, I'll show you again. So this is the Doc Gooden. There's only 25 of this card. Okay, so there's only 25. There's 330 PSA 10s of the Jordan rookie. Do you see the relativeness? Like, it's not that rare. That means that it's going to put price pressure on the card. It can't go to the moon. It can't go to the moon. There's 330 of them. even if the hobby 10Xs, it can't go to the moon. So what is this card actually worth? I would say that comfortably, I would put this card between 140 and 160, and I think that you're very safe in that realm. If you pay $140,000 to $160,000 for this card, I think you're safe. I think that's what it's worth. I think that's it. Now, if you own the card, if you own the PSA 10, okay, the Michael Jordan card, could you get $200,000 for it? Absolutely. I believe that you could still sell it for $200,000 because I don't have a lot of followers, and so people are not listening to this video, so they don't know. And that's where we're at right now. There are millions and millions of people in this hobby who don't know what cards are worth. So that's why so many people are overpaying for it. But you don't want to overpay for your cards. That's why you're subscribed to this channel. You want to know the real deal. You want to know the real value. My opinion, again, based on my 40 years of experience and also looking at all the sales and all the comps and the pop counts and what's going on with this card, I honestly believe that this card is worth between $140,000 and $160,000. And I think that's what's going to be worth going into the future. I think if you overpay for this card, be aware you're overpaying for it. You have every right to overpay. You have every right to overpay. There are 330 of them. So there's not a few thousand. This isn't like the Derek Jeter rookie card where there's thousands of them. There's only 330, so that means that if you see it and somebody wants 175,000, you have to make a decision. Do I want it in my PC or not? You need to know you're overpaying for it so that when it does come back down to what it's worth, you're not upset. You know, well, yeah, I overpaid. Yeah, it's worth 160 at the top end, and I paid 175. So I know that I overpaid $15,000. You just need to know that going in so you don't set yourself up for disappointment. And that's unfortunately what people are doing. You're setting yourselves up for this big letdown because you think these cards are worth much more than they are. Now, in yesterday's video, if you haven't seen it, you need to go back and watch yesterday's video all about actual value. Like, where do we get the values from? There's bias, there's perceived value, there's relative value, like misperceptions. There's all these things going on. If you haven't seen that video, please go and watch it. Anyway, that's what this channel is all about, sports cards, and life. I want to thank everybody for joining me. That's what the Michael Jordan rookie card is worth. If you have any comments, put them down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.